Ethan, you had a bit of time to warm up for the start of training camp through the Prospects Challenge. Can you sort of just take me through how important that was for you as you now go into day 2 of your first NHL training camp?
Yeah, I think the focus is just get better every day, and I think rookie tournament gave me an opportunity to kind of find my feet and find my game a little bit before camp starts.
And what has it been like for you through these 2 games? You've been paired up with a vet like Pesce. What have you sort of experienced so far?
It's been a lot of hard work out there, conditioning skates, and it's been great though. Pesci's kind of taken me under his wing, being very vocal out there, helping me out. So it's been a lot of fun lining up against the top dogs, and kind of a really good experience for me.
And what is that sort of eye-opening or good experience about, right? Like you did a couple captain skates, but I'm sure this is completely different, especially playing in a first scrimmage like that. What sort of opened your eyes?
It's cool to watch how not only how hard they work, but how skilled they are, and to each and every guy, it's just they're so good, and then you gotta bring your A game in every rep. So, but like I said, just excited to be here, work as hard as I can, and we'll see what happens.
What are kind of the main things you look to focus on in a scrimmage like that? You don't want to get too overwhelmed with the players that you're playing against, right? What are kind of the keys that you're trying to hone in on before you start to build up your game further?
Yeah, as a defenseman, your goal is to not get scored on and shut plays down. So I think just going back to the basics like that, breaking pucks out, making the simple plays, I think that's what I got to do to kind of set myself up for success. And then later on down the road, as the comfortability grows, and my game will grow as well.
Can you talk just a little bit more about being paired up with Pesce, and you said takes you under your wing? Like what is that partnership kind of like?
No, it's cool. He's a great guy on and off the ice. Very, very smiley. So he's good to be around. And but yeah, just trying to learn everything I can from him. Kind of get all the details down within practice, and he's really helping me out with that. So it's been great.
And for you mentioned it a little bit before, but what do you feel you need to do to execute, regularly to make yourself stand out? Because this is a group that, there is opportunity here in your position. We saw Seamus do it last year. I'm sure that's also, opened your eyes too, that they will take on young talent if they prove themselves.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think just for myself, it's work as hard as you can and move my feet. I think my feet are definitely an asset in my game, and but kind of do it in a smart way, jump up in the rush and contribute offensively when I can, but don't force anything. And yeah, I think I'm just kind of finding my way here.
Jake, at the last time we spoke to you at the end of last year, you weren't really sure where you might have been, but it must feel good to be here and kick things off back with the Devils.
Yeah, it was always a priority for me to try to find a way to make it work here. I think I stated that at the end of the year, and I think the team did also, and went down to the final hour, but we found a way to get it done, and I'm super happy to be back. I really enjoyed my year and a bit here prior. On the ice, off the ice, my family. It's just been a good fit, and there's a lot of excitement here right now. There's a lot of optimism, I think, in the group. There's a little bit different energy, I think, than there was last year at camp. I think there's an understanding of sort of what we have, and obviously with the year under Sheldon too. So it's been great.
Can you speak to maybe the partnership and relationship that you have with Marky that has been so vital, I think, in the part of that decision-making process? And it's been a bit different for you than in past years with your goaltending tandem.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely part of the decision for me. Obviously I understand this is going to be my last contract in the league unless there's a miracle. But it was a big decision for me to be able to be with Marky, someone that I think I truly understand, him on and off the ice, and I think he does for me, and also with Rogie too. Mm-hmm. I think that was a big decision for me at this point in my career, to be able to come back, to be comfortable in that spot. It's a big deal, especially at me and Marky's age, and I think we just have a good thing here. And I think we're here to help the group. That's our main thing, is to give the guys a chance every single night. I thought for the most part we did that really well last year, and to continue to strive for better expectations this year.
I know a big kind of talking point has been the length of your contract. I know a lot of people compare it to like Marchand's, the one that he just signed. I know he said yesterday that he wants, someone to drag him off the ice. That's, how he wants the rest of his career to play. Is that how you kind of view it too? You think
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
lot more in the tank?
Yeah, I honestly, I think my last 2 years in my time here at the Devils, I played, some of my best hockey in probably the last 5 or 6 years. And, as you get older, you appreciate different things through, hockey and sort of what comes with it. And, I have a lot of buddies that are done playing now, people that I've grown up with and played with for a long time. And, I think I've appreciated everything that comes with the game more and more as I've gotten older. Almost love the game more now than I did before. And, it's just appreciation of everything. I think, the 5 years is the 5 years, and, it is what it is. But, I'm here to play. I'm not here to sort of sit on the sidelines. So that's the plan.
What's been the kind of key to your longevity in your career?
I think just really now having a good grasp of who I am as a goalie and as a person. I think it really just, complements my game and sort of the way that I approach it. So, I think I've grown. I've gotten better as I've gotten older. I think every year I still try to prove myself in camp. I'm 35 years old, but, there's always a chance to get better. And I feel like my game's in a really good spot. I think there's still always ways to improve. If you're not always looking to improve, I think we're just sort of you're gonna get passed by real quick, especially from these young guys. So I think that's just been a big mindset of me in the last couple of years, and will be for the remainder of my career.
What are some of the things you like about the Garden State that you'll be here, a lot more longer? New Jersey, what do you like about New Jersey?
It's been good for me. It's just been a good setup for my family, which is probably the most important thing before you sign a contract.
That's what I'm asking you about the Garden State. So, what do you actually like about the area?
Just where we are, where we live is great. Schools have been great. People have been awesome. We explored, South Jersey a little bit. We've been to the beach. We've done all that. And, it's just feels like a good fit. I think my wife can attest to that too. So it's been good.
Jake, I'm curious, for the amount of experience that you and Marky have, what do you actually focus on and work when you're with Rogie, in practices, in training? Like, what's important to you to keep up what you need to do?
I think the game changes every year. It constantly evolves. It may not look it specifically from the outside, but from internally in the way that we see it, I think there's a lot of changes in goal scoring and how guys are changing, evolving. You have to evolve with the game too. It's I think all the time your game has to catch up to what's going on around you and understanding how your team plays in front of you, what your opponents are trying to do to expose your weaknesses as a group and as a goalie. And obviously there's going to be ebbs and flows in the season too. So there's going to be times where me and Marky don't feel great. There's going to be times we feel superhuman. It's just, I think it's all a feeling, and that just comes down to communication and sort of what you need and what you don't need. And I think at this point in our careers, we understand what we need, and I think Rogie has a good pulse on that too. So I think that was a big decision for me to come back is, you could go to a different situation where it could be a nightmare. I really have a good thing here.
You talked about keeping up with the young talent, a couple days of camp under your belt, facing some new shots from some of these new guys. Has anybody really stood out to you with what they've been able to bring to the table?
Yeah, I think, for me in the group, I think, I've really been impressed with Crookshank. He's got a motor on him out there. He stands out like a sore thumb for me. He's working, he's battling, he's competing, and, he's played some games at the NHL level, and I've really been impressed with him. And, also Ethan Edwards, he looks like he's moving the puck really well. He can skate, seems like a really good kid. So I've been impressed with him.
Not to go down the whole roster, what do you think of Gritzik too?
He's got a good shot. He really does. I think the biggest transition is just getting used to this game. It really is. I've played with a lot of guys that have come over. He's got all this talent and skill in the world. You can just see it out there. I think it's just the transition of getting comfortable, being around here, getting used to the game. The time and space is the biggest thing that it's eliminated quickly over here. Time to get his shot off. He's got an elite shot, like he really does. Probably one of the best of our group. And if he can find that sweet spot and that timing, it's going to take a little bit. There's no question. I don't think he should expect perfect right away, but he's going to adjust. And when he does, he's going to be a good player for us.
Jake, was there a specific moment or anything in particular where you just knew in your heart that Jersey was the right place to spend the rest of your career?
Yeah, at the end of the year, I stated that internally here with the group, and it's just business. It just took a little bit of time to figure that out. There's nothing personal ever in it. It's it's just a contract. But I knew that this was a great opportunity for me just to stay here and finish it off here. And yeah, it was always the goal. Like I said, it would get a little bit nerve-wracking at the end, but found a way to do it.
It must just feel so encouraging after the way your season ended last year to be able to be full participant out there looking no worse for wear.
I feel good. Yeah, it was a long summer, just with everything that went on with how my season ended. Just kind of a bitter taste when you have to go with injury and have to watch your team. And I think even for our group, we got high expectations. That's what we talked about here just from the start of training camp. And for myself personally, to feel healthy, feel 100%. Getting back your rhythm, you can only skate and bike so much in the summer until you're actually out there. Coaches yelling at you, whistles blowing, and guys going a million miles an hour. So it was good to get out.
Was there a point in the summer where you really felt that? Obviously, recovery is always involved with any injury, but was there a point where you felt like, okay, now I just need to get that in practice?
Yeah, I mean, once the doctor said I was good to go, that was kind of the to get the full green light and thumbs up, and you're good to go on things was just. Nice to hear as an athlete. We're competitive. I'm wired that way. I want to get out there. I want to be. When you're told you can't do something, it's tough to hear. So, yeah, it's been good to just get back into the gym, getting around here. I've been here for a couple weeks. Most guys have too. Everyone's checking in, asking how things are going. My golf game still stinks. Hockey's fun again, and it's been good.
How important do you think that has been? Sheldon mentioned it yesterday. Just how 2-3 weeks before camp opened, 99% of the group was here getting adjusted to each other. And what does that set up for you guys? It's
the best. We had a nice kind of team building day together. We've got a bunch of new bodies, some guys whose English aren't as great as not their first language, so to get to talk with them and just even with guys in our off seasons. So you got guys getting married, guys injured, are they healthy again, where they spend them. It's the small talk that I think when you appreciate and can gain that relationship in kind of the non-meaningful hockey, when it starts and there's the ups and downs of a season and the high intensity, and maybe you're yelling at a buddy, they can understand and take it as just a criticism to help us going forward. So that's kind of that brotherhood mentality and the culture we want to have here. Everybody cares. Jersey's a great place to be. So, coming in here early, I think is an easy sell for most of us. So it's been good to get everybody here and getting in the rhythm.
That really sounds like something that Fitzy talked about yesterday that he felt is the next step for this group, where almost when you're in a game, when something's happening, Sheldon can almost step back as coach and you guys end up coaching each other. He said, when someone doesn't get the puck out with 30 seconds, he wants all 15 guys or however many guys on the bench to, be like, you got to get that puck out. Is that what you guys see as this next level? And how do you find that in each other?
Oh, it's just that comfortability and not getting sensitive, that if you yell at a teammate or a D partner or a winger, it's coming from a place of care. It's coming from a place of, I want to win this game that bad, and I want us to have a good shift. I want us to set the next line up for good and ultimately get 2 points to help us get into playoffs and go further. So those things start in these types of skates. Today was a good intense scrimmage, high speed, lots of things going on, and for our group, as you said, to take that next step, we've got to be comfortable to have those honest conversations amongst each other. Sheldon obviously lays the groundwork down and lays out the foundation for us, but when we can have those conversations, whether it's in between periods, after a shift, of holding each other to the standard we want to have here with New Jersey Devils hockey, that's really when we're going to take a step and hopefully be able to just see it from day to day.
Brenden, I feel like a big storyline for this team this year is the development of some of these young defensemen. I'm just curious your thoughts on how they've looked, your impressions of some of these younger guys in camp thus far and kind of their competition level.
Yeah, well, the guy on my right side so far has been looking pretty darn good. Nemo's been great. I think he's another guy that came in really early. We've been kind of, whether it's doing reps in the captain's skates or being out here paired together, it's been a lot of fun. I think we complement each other well. The conversation off the ice and on the ice seems to translate, and kind of getting to know one another and our just habits that we're going to have. Other guys, of course, Seamus Casey came in and played big minutes, was running power play 1 for a playoff game in his first year as a pro. He's obviously a big part of this. Off the top of my head, I'm kind of blank, and everyone's been looking really good. It's been a really high tempo couple of days, which has been nice to have and nice to see. So hopefully we can kind of continue that here through the preseason to set us up for a good regular season.
Brenden, what do you think changed in Nemo in the playoffs last year, where it seemed like he gained a lot more confidence, was more assertive in the things that he was doing? And what would you like to see him continue to do this season to maybe improve and get even better?
Well, there's like the comfortability factor as well as confidence. I mean, everyone will play better with confidence. You're going to feel better with confidence. But it's not just as simple as pumping it up, you're the best, you're this. It's having a good practice to then set yourself up for a good game. It's coming in and being prepared and, having a good off-ice workout where your body feels right and you're sharp from the first drop of the first shift of the game. And I think it's tough. You forget how young some guys are, right? Like, you forget how young he is in the grand scheme. He's been around for this is his third year pro, but he's 21 years old. So those are conversations, and it seems like he's been around a long time and he's going to be a player for a long time. He's that good, but just gaining even playoff experience like that, where you're playing in important situations, double overtime, single overtime. He's the type of player too, where I feel like when he's at his best, he's not necessarily, running the first unit power play or the first PK, but he can affect the game in so many different ways that I think those types of conversations from myself and him of, hey, like, we can be a really good, two-way pair, and kind of embracing that. And for himself, he looks in great shape. He's kind of bantering and having some joking around in the room too, which I think adds to that comfortability side of things. And ultimately, you just want to get off on the right foot, which starts in day one of training camp and kind of through the preseason.
Last year, the team got off to a great start and then kind of flattened out a little bit, made the playoffs, all that stuff is good. But as you reflect back, what happened when the calendar year changed to 2025 that you weren't able to sustain that?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of searching for that for like the last 35 games of what, if there was one specific thing we could change, we would have changed it, right? And I think we proved to ourselves that we can be that good of a team. I think we were like top 3 in the league at Christmas time and, points percentage, whatever it was. And nothing really changed. Of course, the injuries didn't really even happen until the end, so that's an easy out for us. And, we don't want to use those excuses. So I think we've just got to understand that maybe the first bit of the season we were maybe surprising teams, teams where, this team didn't make the playoffs last year, the Devils, and at Christmas time, like, we were, teams knew how good we were to expect, and we were getting every team's best. We were a measuring stick type of team where, wow, these guys have had a good start to the year. So I think from game one of this year, we've got to understand that we've got a tough schedule to start us off. We need to just come out, not ease into things, and expect teams to not just let us get a couple goal lead or ease into us for the second period. So that's kind of a maturity thing for us that we've got to understand too. And we've already started talking about it, setting ourselves up for the next day, having a good practice, good skate. And, we're going to be in another tough, year division. Every team got better, it seems, in our division. So should be good to get going.
We haven't really talked to you since you've gotten a little bit of this under your belt. How are things, and how is sort of the adaptation process, you and your family enjoying here being in New Jersey?
No, it's great. Yeah, the guys have been great, very welcoming, and me and the family getting settled here, and so it's quite the adjustment, obviously, but it's been great so far.
You've been familiar from many years ago with Sheldon, so I'm sure it wasn't much of a shock to just the intensity and just how much he demands from, that second you guys hit the ice.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of understand his philosophies and, what he expects out of the guys. So I think the energy's been really good for the first couple days, so just keep it rolling.
What's your first impression? You guys had a scrimmage today. Obviously, it's not exactly what the team is going to be, but just your first impression so far about the way Sheldon wants you guys to play.
Yeah, I think a lot of good players. Guys that I didn't really know before too. A lot of good players in the organization. Really well run and top to bottom. So been very impressed so far. So excited to keep it going and get more and more into it.
Fitzy really talked about yesterday when we were speaking with him how important he thinks you in this lineup will be, just injecting your experience, the way you play, the way you practice. I mean, what does that mean to you to hear that? And are you the type of person who just that lead by example? Do you understand that part of your role?
Yeah, no, I think that's expected of me. Obviously, have some pretty good experience, especially as of late. Lots of games under my belt, especially big ones, and so. Yeah, I think coming into a team that wants to get a little bit further than they've gotten in the past year, be able to kind of have that experience and share that, and it's a fun spot for me to be in as well. But excited for this group to take a big step.
What does excite you about what you've now learned from being here for a couple of days with this whole group, and about what you could possibly achieve as a group?
Yeah, I think the potential is really high in here. The star players are really elite, and it's just a really well-rounded team too. A deep D-core, good goaltending. It's a lot to be excited about.
How are your new line mates?
Yeah, the line mate's been good. I mean, yesterday was a bit of a bagger, and so there was a lot of heavy breathing going on with it. But obviously, one scrimmage under our belt, I thought we got better as it went on, and so we'll only continue to improve. Obviously, for me, I'm adjusting to new systems and new everything, so it's a little too early to tell, but we'll get her going.
Sheldon, your first opportunity today, obviously scrimmages is one thing from a game, but what did you sort of see from that group those two groups that you were able to put out there, and what were you looking for in those instances?
I mean, really, in terms of the scrimmage and such, I'm really just looking to give guys an opportunity to, kind of take it to a higher level than what they would have been doing prior to camp. They've scrimmaged a bunch, and it's sort of that go-between between a training camp scrimmage and then now, we're going to get into preseason here before long. So it's just a chance for that. I'm not doing a whole lot of evaluating out there on day two in the first scrimmage, especially for the players that I know very well. But it's an opportunity for me to get a feel for those that I don't know as well, that are either new here or they're young players. So you take it for that, and for the practice that we had too. I thought there was good energy, good execution. So coming off of a hard, long day as like yesterday, I was happy with both groups today.
One of the players you mentioned yesterday when we talked to you was Ethan Edwards, and just stood out to you when you were at the Prospects Challenge watching. What are you seeing from him now, and was it deliberate to kind of put him in that spot with Brett to sort of just, carry him through? It's an important, relationship, that vet and a new guy coming in.
Yeah, he's a young guy. I mean, I guess he would be sort of on the older side of first-year pros, coming out of college and all that. But, yeah, from the little bit I've watched of him to start in the first practice before he went over to Buffalo and played, his skating just jumps out to you. It's not a guy I know a lot about. So obviously, he came in at the end of the year to Utica, and they were happy with him, excited about him there, but you still want to see it here. And, he's another guy that today just took another step and out on the scrimmage, and playing with Pesci helps, I think, in terms of, adjusting, and Pesci's talking to him lots and all of that, but also just the way we have the matchups and the drills and in the scrimmage. If you're going to play with Pesci, you're going to be playing against some of our top NHL players on the other side, and I thought he did a nice job. The skating just gets him to a lot of places that, you can do a lot with guys who can skate like that, and been really happy with him here so far, and just going to continue to watch.
What are the things, like, when you're evaluating talent with, like, potential spots open, like, what are the things that you're looking for from players to make themselves stand out? And maybe if we could just talk, like, about Ethan there and that. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, in the early going, you're looking for, you're looking for the athletic things, right? Like I said, the skating and the engine, the motor that he has, that stands out. As I just was commenting on, it takes you to a lot of places, and you can do a lot with that. Even if you make mistakes as a younger player, you can recover from them. I mean, he's also got strength. He's not the biggest guy, but he's heavy and strong. So you combine that with the skating, and defensively, it can really help him. I think when he moves the puck quickly, it's smooth and it's efficient, and all of that. So. Now it's exciting to see. We were talking about it yesterday, just looking at the depth of the defense. I mean, you talk about, Nemec and Casey are a year older. Both these guys, they look confident out there. And then, Cholowski wasn't here this time last year. Edwards wasn't here this time last year. Addison has come in here. He's got experience in the league. There's really good depth and options there that are just, excited and looking forward to continuing to learn about them.
One of the things that Fitzy mentioned yesterday towards the end of the press conference was, he wanted that next step to be, guys almost coaching themselves, get that puck out if you haven't. Do you think that because there's so many returning guys, there's a lot more familiarity, maybe a lot more confidence in one each other, that is a really attainable step because you're maybe not yelling at a teammate because you don't like them, but because everyone wants to. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's greater comfort and trust that should be in place there. We're all in this together, and I think it's not about yelling at a guy or anything like that, but it's just about making it very clear about what's acceptable and what's not. And we want to build on all the positive behaviors that lead to winning, and we want to weed out and eliminate the behaviors that get in the way of winning. And coach can talk all he wants, but the players have to buy into it and hold each other to it. And I think I think we took steps last year. I think even throughout my time, just throughout the season, like our captain and Nico, he was far more involved in that area, and not just being the guy that's the example on the ice all the time, but also speaking up. And I think that's a product of him getting older and him knowing that the team needs to take a step, but then also the support around him. There's a number of leaders that we have in here now within our team that should be able to support one another and be confident to speak up when needed.
And from what you know of Connor Brown, is he kind of that perfect type of fit for what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Brownie's he's got great experience in the league. Very smart guy. He knows the game really well. We talked yesterday about the experience that he has here. He's coming off of an elite team and playing in the finals and so close to winning the Stanley Cup. So. Yeah, the more you guys you can have like that. Palat, of course, is a champion and comes from a great culture in Tampa. And, I leaned on him a lot last season and continue to do that. But, yeah, there's a number of guys here, and there's no reason why we can't take a step in our leadership.
What was the thought process with Palat, Brown, and Glass together? Like, what's going to mesh well with the three of them?
Well, I think all three guys, first, I think are reliable defensively. They play pretty smart and predictable games, so you can trust them in that way. And just want to see how the chemistry works, and you sort of checking off the boxes and putting together the other lines, and just made sense to start that way. It seems like we have a lot of time, but you kind of don't when you start to really map it out a little bit with preseason and such. So I don't know how much we'll move some things around, but I'm sure there'll be some movement to try some different things. But the look that we started with here is something that we wanted to give an opportunity to grow a little bit.
And you talked about the depth in the defense. What about on the forwards? Like, has any forward really stuck out to you? And how do you feel about your depth there? Has it improved since last season?
Yeah, I mean, just watching today, you're seeing like the skill level and intelligence that Dadonov plays with, and looked like he meshed well, with Jack and Bratter, with how those guys were able to move the puck around the ice, and so that's encouraging. If we can get some minutes like that from Dadonov with our top people, that's very helpful throughout the rest of the lineup. We talked about Brownie and the value that he brings. Gritsik showed his ability today. Doesn't take a lot. One real scoring opportunity, and you can shoot it in the net. So there's excitement there, but then you look at others. Crookshank has really stood out through 2 days, and he's got a little experience in the league, but it's shown well here in terms of depth. And Lamico I think has done well too. So there's a number of guys. You got the experience of Rooney and Glendening that have come in. So there's lots of options for us here right now, and that's to say nothing of those who've been here. Hallinan and Legare and Hardman. These guys played some time with us. McLaughlin. So there's we were just talking about it as coaches. When I think about where we were a year ago, when you talk about our depth throughout the lineup, I think there's a lot of options there, and it shows growth within the organization. And as the coach, that's exciting.
Has training camp over the years become even more intense? It seems like there's a lot of hitting going on out there. I mean, I see more hitting today than I've seen at football practices in the NFL.
Well, it's that time of year. I mean, you're trying to build a team that's going to be physical and competitive. We talked about it a lot the opening day of camp. A lot of the guys that are back here now know what the expectation is, but I think we've just built a more competitive and physical team. We were just, again, talking about as coaches in there, someone like Brenden Dillon is coming off season surgery, and he's the most physical player out there. He's certainly not dipping his toe in the water and coming back, and that's shows his character, the competitor that he is, the leader that he is, because I think as your veterans do that, everybody else kind of follows, gives permission to play harder and be competitive. And as much as you want the players coaching and talking to each other and all that, it's also how they compete against one another in practices that can help take our game to another level. So that's been great to see, and we need more of it.
You mentioned yesterday, off a great start, the inability to kind of sustain that through the second half of the season. What were you able to put a finger on, or what has to be different this year?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope we're in a position to be able to talk about that again, because the goal right now is to get off to a great start again, and we built something that we felt really good about, and we hope we're in the position to figure out how we can do it for 82. But we'll focus on preseason game 1 and take it from there.
Could it just be part of a growing process for a team as they make their way up the ladder of successful teams? I just referenced the Devils. They win the Cup in '95. They don't make the playoffs the next year. They get bumped the following year in the first round. It took a while before they became that juggernaut from '99 to 2003.
I mean, you obviously you want to chalk it up to that, and there's a learning process for myself, even as the coach for the first time, with this group. You learn lots about them and about yourself and maybe how you can go about some things. But the one thing we really liked as we reflect on the season is our training camp. We liked how when the puck dropped in Prague that our group was ready to go from the start, and it wasn't perfect certainly in the first half of the season, but we liked a lot of the things that we had done, and we think that was a byproduct of how we got to work in training camp. So that is our focus here. It's a fresh and new season, and we just talked about how many new faces are around here, and it's exciting to just get to work and put it all together.
What was your thought when you saw the schedule and how it's opening up for you?
I mean, we knew the season was going to be busy, both in, are you referring to this year or in Prague last year? Yeah. Yeah, we knew it was going to be busy with the Olympics and all that sort of stuff, but also the quality competition that we have in the month of October is intense, and, all those reasons, point to us needing to have a great camp and a great start.
Nailed that pronunciation. They got it. Loved it. It was perfect.